gonna have a little start on these beauties. So in there, this particular one here, the left one, just had literally a piece of cardboard just glued in under the inner sole, so under the insole, sorry. And you can sort of see where he's obviously cut away the old white inner sole part there, and that's the electronics you've got in there. So you've obviously got the battery on the left hand side, which is all definitely glued in. The various wiring on top of it as well is also glued in. So I need to get in there carefully, because obviously I don't want to pull any wires basically in order to get the battery out, and hopefully the battery's got a terminal on it, hopefully, as opposed to having to cut the battery off and then, you know, resolder one on, which obviously is always risky. That's probably why he burnt, I think that's why he burnt one of the shoes. One of the shoes I noticed had a burn mark somewhere in it, maybe sort of down there, you know. And obviously the wiring wise, electronic wise, he's just covered everything in glue, probably to hide what's in there, to keep it sort of top secret, I suspect. Otherwise you would do a neat job and put some foam in there, or a thick piece of cardboard, or whatever. But yes, so it's definitely clever, the fact that he's had to do a lot of work to obviously hollow out that sole, to get all that sort of stuff in. But it looks like you've got loads of spare wire there. You probably could have cut a lot of that wire off, resoldered it. I know it's all hassle, but you could have done a neater job on that, basically. Hi all, good morning. So quick look at the shoes before I get involved. So this is the left hand side one. So first things first, everything's covered in glue. It's a great idea having wireless shoes, but how he's pulled this off is awful. Why cover everything in glue? You can't, the battery, you couldn't get to the battery very easily without doing all this and coming in at a different angle, peeling open the battery, removing the wires which were all glued on top of the battery. The battery's hardwired to the board, so it means it's not serviceable by anybody without tons and tons of time and skill and money. He should have put a socket on there so that the owner could then open up the shoe, this middle part, pull off the battery socket, put a new battery in, back in place, job done. Soldering is awful. It's on the board just down there. You've got 2 to 3 wires on positive and negative, and you've got wires like this, fully exposed, about a centimetre long, exposed, no sheathing on them. Solder looks dog shit. I know it's tricky, obviously, but it's bad soldering nonetheless. Under this bit of paper here, great bit of paper, there is a magnetic coil as well, which is pretty cool. But yes, it's just crap. So that's that one there. So the thing is, I need to be able to get to this board to be able to solder a socket on, and then put it back together again, obviously, and test it. But I'm not willing to solder inside the shoe like that, because you've got all of this material here, and it's such a high risk area for solder and blobs of flux. Because I guarantee you'll be soldering this, you know, and you'll either burn it with the soldering iron, or you get a blob of flux will pop off and land like there, and then you've ruined the shoes. So in order for me to be willing to solder that, I need to get that board. I need to get that board there up to this level here, so I can protect the shoe at minimum, or go in and remove this piece here, which is really thin. Put the coil just out of the way a little bit, if where possible. Then pull the electronics out of the bottom, which could be the best option. You know, neither option is easy, but it depends if I can get any. It depends if I can sort of peel off this glue in order to get this board up, you know, up like 4 inches or whatever I need to get access to. So I'm feeling I probably need to go through the bottom of the shoe to be able to solder that on, because I need to be able to solder it on neatly. Otherwise, there's no point. So that's that one there. The right one's been done different. So on this one here, he retained the white inner sole part, which is tucked underneath there. The battery on this one here goes, rather than going sideways length, but rather than going this way here, you can see it goes from this end to this end. So God knows why he's changed the layout of it, but yeah, it's going from there to there. It's even more covered in glue. There's like a nice sort of solid layer of glue over everything, so it's even more difficult to access. And there's additional wires going on top of the battery and all around there. So it's that's going to be a bit of a nightmare. The thing is, I'll talk to the owner of these ones here. Is that ideally, yes, we leave this as it is, of course, because it's working. But that battery there is probably not going to last too long. You know, I mean, I'm surprised it's even lasted now, but it might only last another few months or 6 months. Who knows? and then you have to do the job anyway. So I'll see what he wants me to do, if he wants me to. Right then, yeah, so now have a look now at the left shoe and try and get this thing working. As you see, just covered it in like high quality tape, and I'll put obviously a cloth over the top when I crack out the soldering iron in a minute. I've also just removed the laces from one side, and I can see actually that the electrode has actually already done something with the laces. Normally the laces are stitched in, and these are actually already been glued in, so I've just literally just cut through his glue to remove them. But then they can be set nice and neatly again together anyway afterwards. But at least now I can pull this apart and get reasonable access, much better access, I should say, to the board. It's not ideal, obviously. I'd love to have the board clearly up here somewhere, out of the way of the shoe completely, but that's all the wire that you can get. I've also marked the wires with either blue nail varnish plus the connector, so blue obviously on this side and battery positive on that side there, with marked all the wires in red, including the ones which have fallen off, etc. So yes, I'm now going to unsolder those, solder on a length of wire, probably well, ideally a red and a black. I'll see what wire I've got in stock in the garage, and then I can then have it up here somewhere, and then I can then solder the other wires to it, and then ultimately the battery connector to that length of wire, so it's all like neat basically. Cool, right, let me go for it. Yep, hi all, quick update on the shoe. It's obviously all the gears out, battery's completely and utterly dead, which is cool. So getting in here, so what I've done, I'll start to do, I want to sort of show you just before I do too much. So basically I've separated out the wires now to negative and positive, and obviously you can see the positive one on the left hand side there. For example, this wire, if I can get the camera in there, that wire in the middle just there, this one here, that was just too short. So you can see that I've spliced on an identical piece of the same, exactly the same style of wire, with the same white, same sort of grey-white mark on it as well. So that can then, I can then heat shrink that joint right in the middle of the camera, and then poke it through the red heat shrink, solder it onto that blob there basically, and then that means I've then got the 3 negs, 3 positives on that end, solder it onto the board, then spray and clean the board quickly. And then what I'm going to do then, is I've then got some length of red and black wire for the battery socket, which I will then do onto this end here. So this one here, you've got a negative on there, it's the same positive as well. This positive here actually, covered in crap, goes down to a thin light, which I probably pretty much guaranteed will be one of the EL panels, the EL heel, or the Nike logo, one of the two, or sort of splice into two, but pretty sure that's going to be the wiring for that, because it's the same thickness and style as that. So yes, that is what I'm going to do now. So yeah, let me just finish it off. But yeah, it's obviously tricky, because obviously just trying to be really super careful not to drop any crap on the shoe, that's all, but so far so good. Right then, yep, so next up's the right hand side one. So I was after speaking to Gary on this one, he said, it definitely makes sense really just to at least get the battery out somehow, solder on the terminal with the connector on, and then put a new battery on with a standard connector on it, so that way it's, when it goes wrong in the future, in terms of the battery dies in a year's or two's time, whenever it dies, then it's easy for him then to put a new battery on. At the moment, see, the shoe turns on and turns off, which is good. It does have another fault though, because when you put it on the charger, the wireless charger, this one here doesn't do anything other than the light on the charger will light up to show that it's charging, but none of this stuff here sort of lights or flashes or anything. Whereas the faulty shoe, it does cycle. It does sort of cycle and flash and all this sort of stuff when it's charging. So it obviously has another problem as well with this one, but potentially it seems to be charging. I've got a wireless charger in the post, but the thing is I need to get the battery out to be able to, effectively then run the shoe flat, then put it on charge, and then just confirm that it is actually charging, you know. So I do actually need my wireless charger through the post. The main problem with this is getting the battery out. So our man Electric Kicks has made this incredibly difficult, you know, just bad design. Electric Kicks on this one, mate, unfortunately. What he's done is he's covered everything in glue, which obviously I guess that might add some protection, of course. It makes it incredibly hard to get the battery out, and obviously these lipos here, they just fall apart when you start to lever them. They just short circuit, start smoking, and you know, and all that sort of stuff. And of course, there's also, as you see there, black and red wires in the glue over top of the battery, plus various wires down the side there. So it's not made it easy at all to get the battery out. So you can't just obviously you can't cut around it clearly, because you don't know what's underneath and what's through the glue. So I'm just gonna have to sort of scrape it away bit by bit in order to be able to hook that battery out. And obviously under the battery is the coil for the wireless charging, so I can't just sort of get a screwdriver straight in underneath it and lever it for fear of damaging the coil system. So it's just a case of I'll just get it out as best as I can with hopefully minimal damage to the wiring, and hopefully I can get the battery out. Hopefully the shoes will still turn on and off and it's all cool. Then I can just solder on a new connector once I can get to the PCB, and then we go from there. Okay, let me crack on and see if we can get that battery out. Now that is exactly what I mean. See, the slightest graze on that battery, literally you can see now it's smouldering in there, you know. So obviously I'm going to put it out now. I just want to film it very, very swiftly, that's all. So yes, that is it. Okay, let me just quickly put that little fire out. So yeah, tiny little bit of water just in there, directly on it, just to sort of sizzle that beauty out. So hopefully that's discharged the battery now as well, hopefully. It's certainly not turning on and off anymore anyway, but this is what I expected, you know. And obviously it stinks as well, actually, so let me just get this out. But yeah, this is what happens when you have a bad design. Okay, but at least now it's probably discharged it, so I can get it out a bit more now. But honestly, I just doing it along the side and just squeezed the side of the battery, and that was it. Actually, tell you what, that was a small blessing in disguise, because of course the battery got nice and warm really quickly, and it actually loosened off all the hot glue attached to it. So it does smell a lot, I guess, all the sulfur. But yeah, you can see it's dated 2016, so actually that battery's lasted a damn long time, you know, compared to the other ones normally. But yes, at least now that has actually helped me release the hot glue. So yeah, happy days. Okay, let me peel that off and get it out quickly, because it absolutely stinks. Honestly, freaking stinks, but you can still see it's still smoking, if you can see that. But yeah, it's obviously a different, it's interesting, this is. When I pull it out, I'll have to have a better look, because, so like I say, the battery on this one here is sort of lengthwise. On the other shoe, it's mounted in the opposite directions. It's very different, and it looks like it's a much larger battery as well. But so yeah, I'll do a little comparison when I take it out. But it's definitely been built differently, this shoe here has, compared to the other one. Right then, yes. So I'll quickly show you inside in a second. So at the moment, most of it works. So what I've done is I've removed the battery. The battery did smoke. You'll see that on the video, and sizzled and burnt and all that sort of stuff, which is not a surprise as it's so wedged in there. You can see that it's all on and all operates by the switch, but the Nike isn't on. But that won't be any sort of drama. That'll just be, I mean, I did notice there's a couple of very crusty wires in there, so should be able to sort of trace the wire back. But yes, if I say press the other buttons, it operates as it would have done earlier, apart from that symbol there. I'm just holding the battery in place, so I can't sort of demonstrate it. So if I quickly release the battery, let me have a look inside. So this one here is basically very different from the other shoe. I'll whip this battery out. Let me just zoom in a bit. Let me pause it there. Right, yeah, hi all, welcome. Let's have a quick look then at the electronics, and that'll do for now. So obvious things here, quick sort of summary here. This one here, much less wiring on it, and if you see that, going into the mini USB connector, you've actually got a black sort of flexible circuit board of some variety. I'm not sure what it does, but it goes underneath here to the coil, and you can see there it's just that black circuit board looking item plugging into there. I mean, I can't imagine it's does nothing. I'd imagine it is some sort of circuit board, hence why you've got less wiring here and different wiring in these corners. So that's that one there. Battery orientation we've mentioned, and completely different colour wires like pink and light green and mauve and all that sort of stuff. So it's a very, very different setup, other than the fact that the board is the same FC75 board. Everything else looks very, very different. And then looking at this one here, this one here has just got a blanking plug in the end, so no flexible board, and it's got much more wiring attached to each one. It's got 4 wires on each, rather than the other one which had 2 wires, plus a resistor in that white bit of sleeving, and a sort of thick sort of earth wire on the sort of far bottom corner that you can see just there. So yes, lots of sort of random wires in here just hanging around. Multiple sort of crap solders. Like this one here is just hanging off, probably should be connected just over there, but you can't see it, but there's a lump. Just focus there. Yeah, so that piece there should probably be soldered to this lump of crap here, where these other sort of 3 or 4 wires are attached really, really badly. So it's all just a complete mess in terms of how it's been soldered and stuff together. You know, these 2 wires here then go underneath this piece of cardboard down to the sensor area, so that probably should be connected on there, I expect. Underneath this glue here is multiple sort of circuit boards underneath there, and you can see here that it's literally covered in diodes and resistors, all that sort of stuff, and I'm extremely hesitant to peel up any of that because the glue is so hard. If I peel it up, you know, I feel it's just going to damage everything, and I don't really want to apply heat into the shoe for fear of melting, you know, the thin wires. So it's one of those sort of catch-22 situations, you know. So I think what we'll do is I'll wait for the battery terminals to arrive, solder those on, then I can connect the battery up properly. Probably solder that onto there, so I feel that should be soldered onto there. Do it properly. You can't really do much else with that because it's all just a higgledy-piggledy mess of crap, you know, and then go from there after that. Cool, nice one.